Okay guys, welcome back to another video. And this video today is going to be about how you should never wait to start something you want to start. You should never postpone something until the time's better. So people always say this, like, I'll give you an example. So myself, I'm in the midst of exams at university at the moment, and really the last thing I should be doing is wandering out of the library for a quarter of an hour to talk about self-improvement. But I know how the human brain works. I know that if I don't keep up the YouTube account in some capacity, then it's just never going to really, it doesn't really have much of a life in the future. You need to really be doing things every day if you want them to last. You know, part of me thinks I should just wait until my exams are over, until the summer, and then the summer it's like, I'll have all that time to I can just dedicate to YouTube. But then I slightly think, like, no you won't. If you haven't built up the habit of making YouTube videos every day when you have other things as your main priority, then how do you really expect to go from not doing it at all to making it your main priority? You know, you're expecting far too much of your habit-loving brain. And the more likely thing is that you're just going to fall back on old habits. You know, you'll end up getting a job, getting a summer job, or going on holiday with your friends or something, and then sort of halfway through August you'll be like, oh fuck, I was meant to do that YouTube channel this summer, wasn't I? You know, how many times have you heard that happen? Someone's been like, oh yeah, can't wait until the summer, I'm really going to dedicate to this project. You know, it's all really going to happen, I just need a bit of free time to do it. And it just never happens. And of course it doesn't, because you can't just flick a switch and automatically you're going to be really invested in something. It's a process of engineering it into your life that you got to let yourself go through. Now, don't go crazy with it. You know, I'm not saying you have to go crazy with it. I'm very careful about how much YouTube I do. I make sure it doesn't take priority over my other stuff, and I make sure I got my my uni work done before, or at least under control, before I start recording. And you know, it's only taking like a few minutes to do, you know, half an hour a day to do these videos. So it's not a very massive, doesn't take a massive amount of my time out anyway. But nonetheless, I see it as extremely important that I do just that tiny amount, because if I don't, then how do I expect myself to sustain it into the future? And it's just kind of a rule of life, guys, that things slowly build bit by bit. You know, there's this kind of romantic idea that you're just going to quit your job and start your own business. But the truth is, you need to build these things up slowly, you know, bit by bit. And this is a perfect example of it. So if there's something, I mean, it also doesn't have to be a YouTube video. If you know, like, how many people have said, like, oh yeah, when I retire, I want to I've always wanted to take up painting, and when I retire, I think that's what I'll do. You know, how many times have you heard that from something like some old person? Like, how often realistically does that actually happen? I'm sure it does happen sometimes, but more time, people, you work an incredibly difficult job, you know, really stressed, really tough life, and then they hit retirement and they're like, I can't really be bothered with this actually. You know, I'm fucking knackered. You know, I've just retired, you know, I'd rather just sit and watch the TV, walk the dog. You know, people, it doesn't really happen Now, if someone wanted to, it's fair enough that when they're retired, that's a great time to commit to painting. I'm not disputing that necessarily. But the thing they should do is they should build it up bit by bit, you know? Buy some acrylics and a canvas, and then, you know, at the weekends, when they've got a bit more free time, they can doss about, try and do some painting, you know, and then they can build a bit of a portfolio, and then bit by bit, then they have kind of something to, then they've built up that sort of momentum with it that they can convert into a full-time hobby when they retire. So yeah, well, obviously it can be anything really. It can be social things as well, you know. Like I always think if I want to spend time with a certain person, you know, it's always good to sort of do something that's not very ambitious, you know. Like literally just text them and be like, oh, let's go for a drink this, you know, this, go for coffee for half an hour. I haven't got very much time, but it'd be good to catch up. You know, something like that. Rather than, oh, we'll get a massive group together and we'll all go out to town. You know, that stuff's great, but it's much better to just do this, like small things, and then they naturally snowball. So yeah, anyway. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.